Hey y'all, so today I am going to be doing a book haul. I'm sure y'all guessed that from the title of this. I counted, I have bought 37 books in the past month or so, and I really wanted to haul these because I haven't done a haul in such a long time on here. I need to do them more often. There was a lot of new releases that came out this past month, and also there was just a bunch of books that I've wanted to read for a long time. We're gonna get started. I have them divided into contemporary romance, thrillers, horror, and then fantasy sci-fi. I think I'm gonna start first with fantasy. I have more contemporaries than I do anything, which is shocking because I generally am a thriller person, but you know, it's okay. It's May though, and there's so many contemporaries that came out in May, and I think that was a big thing. So that was like the reason why there's so many contemporaries. But let's start with fantasy, and this is probably gonna be long. I'm gonna try to keep it brief. I'm not gonna give a synopsis for all of these, I don't think, but yeah, and I'm not good with synopsises. I generally don't read synopsises. I just tell y'all why I wanted to get the book in the first place. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to show you is a Trilogies. This is called The Fifth Season. I have all three books here. I've been really wanting to read this. It's a fantasy series, and I honestly don't know what it's about. Cruise Projects Reagan read this in one of her reading vlogs, and she made it just seem really, really good, so I really wanted to try to read it, but I don't even know how to say the second book's name. Like, it's the Obelisk Gate. Don't know what that, sorry, I'm not good at pronouncing that. And then the last one is called The Stone Sky. And I've been looking for a good fantasy series to get into because right now I'm in a fantasy slump. I'm more interested in thrillers right now, and that's fine. Like, I'm a very moody reader, but I do miss fantasy sometimes, so I kind of want to get back into it just a little bit. It was my main genre when I first started book 2, but it kind of has morphed into thrillers and not so much fantasy. And I think what I'm gonna do about that, like, this is so off topic, but I have Before the Devil Breaks You over on my TBR shelf, and what I think I'm gonna do is, that's part of the Diviners series, and it's fantasy, but it's also like mystery, thrillerish, so I think I'm gonna start with that to try to get back into it. That way it's fantasy, but it also has that thriller aspect that I'm craving right now. But here is the trilogy. There's such pretty covers here. I'll show you. So this is the first one. This is the second one. I love this cover. And then the third one. They're all such beautiful covers. Like, I'm obsessed with them. So I have another trilogy to talk about, and this one is the Red Sister trilogy. I actually don't know if that's what the trilogy itself is called. It's the first book, so that's what I'm calling it. I have Red Sister by Mark Lawrence. This is the first book, and this I know is about a group of badass nuns who go and, I think they're like assassins or something like that. So I think that there's assassins in this. I'm pretty sure. Emily from Books, what is it? Books with Emily Fox or something. I'll link her channel below. It's Emily Fox's BookTube channel, and that's how she described this, was a group of badass nuns, and she said, and that's all we needed to know, and that's completely fine with me. I'm not a synopsis person. Like, I don't know why I just don't like reading them. I think it's because it gives me like maybe a certain expectation, or sometimes they're a little spoilery, so I just like to kind of dive into a book and, you know, see what happens. I'm dying to read this one. So this is a fantasy that I feel like could get me back into the mood of reading fantasy, and it's an adult fantasy, so there's that one. And then the second one is Gray Sister, and then the third one, which is my favorite cover, is Holy Sister. I love this cover, obsessed. And I ordered these on Book Depository because I like the UK covers better than I do the American ones, so I got on Book Depository and bought these. So there are those. Okay, the next book I'm going to talk about is Defami by Taharia Mafi. I forgot her name for just a second. This is the 5th book in the Shatter Me series, and I read the first 3 and I liked them. They're not like the best fantasy I've ever read, but I do really, really like them, and I haven't read Restore Me yet, so I have to read that before I read this, but I know that I want to get back into this series. I think I just loved the trilogy so much that I'm kind of nervous to continue on, and that's how I felt about the Mortal Instrument series. I was kind of like, I really love the first 3 of the Mortal Instruments, and there was 3 more, and I was like, but it ended, it was so good. And yeah, I don't even really like the last few of the Mortal Instruments series. I mean, I haven't read the last book, but like, I wasn't as hooked as I was in the first 3. So I get kind of nervous about these, but hopefully it'll be good. And if anything, my mama loves the series. She read Restore Me last year and she wants to read this, so at least we have it for her. I will be reading this, but just nervous. Okay, and the next book I have is In an Absent Dream by Shauna McGuire. This is the 4th book in the Wayward Children series, and this is very short. All of them are very, very short. I've read the first 2. The second one was my absolute favorite. Like, it's actually something that I want to reread soon because I loved it that much. I haven't read the 3rd one. I need to, and then I need to read In an Absent Dream. And these are so short that it won't take me any time to do it. And I've heard a lot of people say that this one is their favorite one. I've also heard a lot of people say that they didn't love the first 3 books, but this one made them like want to continue. So hopefully this is good. I'm trying not to have too much of high expectations. This is definitely not my favorite series. I really love the second one, and that's like a favorite, but that's about, I mean, I haven't read the 3rd one yet, so I need to give it a chance. But yeah, I'm just like not dying to pick it up is what I should be saying, but I do want to read it. The next fantasy I'm going to be talking about is also by Shauna McGuire, and that is Middle Game, and this is an adult fantasy, and it just came out, and she cracks me up. Like, she either is like one extreme or the other. Like, it's either this short or it's this freaking big. Like, this is over 500 pages, so it's going to be a beast. But Books and Lala, Kayla, said that she really, really liked this. And I really want to try to read it because she's not even a big fantasy person, I don't think. I'm positive she isn't. And she really, really liked this, so I'm hoping I do. This is the last fantasy I have, and that is The Gilded Wolves. And I'm nervous about this one, but I kind of just wanted to buy it because the cover is so beautiful. I just think that is the prettiest thing. I don't really know what it's about. Like I said, I know I'm beating a dead horse, but I don't read synopsises. But I've heard that some people love it, and then I've heard other people hate it. I've never really seen like a in-between review of this, so it's kind of very polarizing. So either people love it or they hate it, and I just kind of wanted to see what side I was on in that. I'm excited about it. Hopefully I like it. And just a little information, I generally vlog every single book that I read, and I give you all my reactions while I'm reading it, and I review it and give a star rating at the end. So that's mainly what my channel is a bunch of reading vlogs. I will be eventually reading all of these and vlogging them, so if you want to subscribe to me, please do it. And yeah, so that way you can see. And maybe ring the notification bell, because I heard that if your videos aren't clickbaity, YouTube isn't going to recommend them. So that kind of sucks, but whatever. I'm not going to be pulling any Jake Paul bullshit, something like, obviously. So next I want to talk about thriller or horror novels, like in that genre. So let's talk about it. I have 2 Stephen Kings that I'm going to talk about. So the first one I have is Christine, and this I know is about a killer car. So basically the car kills people, and I just love Stephen King books. This one's big, but I've heard good things about it, and my mama actually watched this movie when she was really young. She doesn't even remember it. She was like in her teens, and she doesn't really remember it. She just remembers that the car killed people. She wants to read it, and so do I. Like, I really, really want to read this. It looks so good to me. Got this, and the cover is badass to me. Like, I love the cover. And the next Stephen King, the last Stephen King I have, is Pet Sematary, and the remake just came out of this. I've seen the first one, the original, and I saw that years ago. Like, I barely even, I remember it, but not to extreme detail. Like, you know, I just remember the gist. I remember being sad because the animals would die. That's kind of a difficult thing to watch, and I'm sure it'll be hard to read, but I'm a lot older, and I know it's fiction, it's not real, but I've got this one. The next thriller I have is Come Find Me by Megan Miranda. And I don't know, I've heard this is kind of sci-fi. It's a thriller, but I've heard there's some sci-fi elements to it, so I don't really know if that's true. I've just heard that. And Megan Miranda, I have the book, The Perfect Strangers by her, and I've been dying to read that, and I haven't yet. And so I don't even know if I'm going to like her as an author, but I bought this book too, so whatever. Hopefully I do. If not, like, I've had tons of times where I read an author once and it's like I hated the book, but then I give them another chance and read another one and I love that other book. So if I don't like one of these, I'm still gonna read the other, but you know, unless she does something crazy, outrageously, like, you know, offensive or something, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Once again, got no idea what this is about. The next thriller I have is Hidden Bodies by Caroline Kepnes. This is the second book in the You series. I read You like a month or so ago. I can link the video that I did reviewing that, the vlog that I did reacting to the book down below, but I went ahead and got the second book because I really loved the first one, but I'm almost terrified to read this because I loved You. I thought it was a standalone, but I guess it's not. So I have Hidden Bodies and I've heard some not great things about it, but I don't let other people's opinions like persuade me unless like it's something that I'm definitely gonna hate. But I mean, like, you know, like if they're like, oh, like this is the biggest piece of garbage ever, like there's so many offensive, horrible things in this, then I won't read it. But that's not the case with this. So people just didn't like it, but I do want to give it a try. Worst case, I DNF it. And I just finished the series on Netflix as well, and it was a really good show. I actually really enjoyed it. This is the second book that I hope to read soon. And then another sequel that I have in the thriller genre is The Vanishing Stair by Maureen Johnson. I need to read Truly Devious. I haven't yet, but I will. But I wanted to go ahead and get this one. I'm a person that likes to have all the books in this series that have come out so far because sometimes I like read the first one and I need the second one like right then and there. That happens to me all the time. I like to have all of it with me. I've got this. This is a YA mystery thriller. And YA thrillers I generally don't love, but I do want to give this a shot because I feel like it'll be pretty good. The next book I'm going to show y'all is The Missing Years by Lexi Elliott, and this is another thriller that Books and Lala Kayla has recommended, and she really liked this. And I feel like anytime Lala or Kayla recommends a book, I generally go out and buy it because we have very similar reading taste. There has been like the occasion where she recommends something that I really didn't like, but that doesn't happen often. I just really wanted to give this a try. So yeah, another thriller. And then the next book I have is I Know Who You Are by Alice Feeney. So I read Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. I really loved that book. And this is actually a book that Kayla, I saw her read Sometimes I Lie and this one. She didn't love Sometimes I Lie like at all, I don't think. And she didn't like this one either. But I really loved Alice Feeney, the Sometimes I Lie book. Like I said, occasionally we'll have like completely different opinions on a book, acting like I know her and I'm friends with her, but you guys know what I mean. Like, you watch your booktubers, you really like, you know, listen to their recommendations, the one that you know that you have similar reading taste to, but that's kind of the case with that. But I do want to read this because I did love Sometimes I Lie. It was so good. There's that, and I love this cover. It's so good. Like, I love it. The next book I have is Non-Perfect Strangers by Leanne Moriarty. I've also got to read Big Little Lies. I haven't done that yet, but I actually bought this because Emily Fox had said she hated this. She gave it a 1 star and like she hated it. And that made me want to read it because Emily also said she hated Attachments by Rainbow Rowell and said it was the worst book ever. She said it was like really creepy, and I gave this a 5 and loved it. So we do have different opinions, but I love watching her videos because they're just so funny. Like, even when she's like trashing some of my favorite books, I'm dying laughing because it is so funny. She's so great. I just love getting book recommendations from her because she's just amazing and I love her. So I wanted to try this, see if I liked it. If not, okay. There it is. Okay, y'all, I have 2 more thrillers, and these are both Book of the Month thrillers. I have Book of the Month subscription, and they send me like a free book every month. The first one I'm going to show you is Necessary People, and this I haven't heard really anything about. It just looked interesting to me and it sounded interesting. Couldn't tell you what it's about right now. I read it online like a long time ago, a month ago, and a lot's happened. Finals, brother's graduation, it's been a lot. So I do not remember anything about this. I do know I want to try to read it, and the cover is pretty cool. The last thriller that I have to show y'all, which is the book that I'm actually currently reading, and that is Before She Knew Him by Peter Swanson. and Peter Swanson wrote The Kind Worth Killing, and I loved that book. Well, I gave it a 4, but I still really, really liked it. Like, it was a good book, and his writing style is brilliant. And like, literally, I read the first sentence and I was so hooked in this. And I'm about ready to start a vlog of me reading it. I've already gotten through, I'm on chapter 9, page 64. That is where I'm at, but I'm gonna start a vlog about this very soon. Like today, I'm starting it today. Y'all should see that coming pretty soon, because I intend on finishing this today or tomorrow. So now we're gonna move on to contemporary romance genre. Like I said, this is the biggest stack that I have. The first book that I'm going to show you in this category is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. I have heard really good things about this book from Hannah and Zoe and Haley. They said this is a really good representation of anxiety, and they basically said they felt like they just really related to this book. And I have horrible anxiety, and I've had it since I was 6. It's very severe, very, very horrible and debilitating. I do really want to read this because I do like reading books that have good rep of mental illness. I just think it'll be good if and I normally love the books that Hannah, Haley, and Zoe recommend, so I feel like I'm gonna like this. I've got this, and it's a very under-hyped book. Like, I feel like more people should be talking about it just based on what they said about it. Now, I haven't read this yet, but I do think it's gonna be good. The next book I have is A Heart in a Body in the World, and this I've heard is so sad. So Chelsea Darling reads, and my reading is Odd. Natasha is her name. They both read this and they both cried. They both said it was so incredibly sad. So I like to get a book that, you know, will sometimes make me emotional, except it's very hard to make me cry. Like, I do not cry very often. I'm not a very emotional person. When I get books like this and people are like, oh, it made me cry, and then I read it and it didn't even make me shed like a tear, like I wasn't even close, like it's embarrassing for me sometimes. But hopefully I'm gonna like this. And maybe because sometimes like you just want to sit, read a good book, and just cry. So when I'm in the mood for that, I'm gonna pick this up. Now I have 3 Christina Lauren books. So I have Autobiography, I have Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating, I have her newest release, which is The Unhoneymooners. This cover, so freaking cute. I love it. I'm obsessed. I love Christina Lauren. She is pretty much my favorite romance author. I've read like the majority of her books. I absolutely love her books. I absolutely love her books, so I really want to, continue reading her books if I love them this much. So, ow, I just pulled my hair. I will be reading these very soon. I really want to read this one and this one soon. I want to read this one too, but these two are what's calling me at the moment. Now, I have some more books, and this is called Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This is about a prince, and he is gay, and he starts dating a guy, and the royal families generally don't really, approve of that for some reasons. I am really, really excited to read this. I love stories like this, and I've heard good things about it, so I really, really want to read it. I think it'll be a really good book. And then the next book I have, which I am so excited about, is Her Royal Highness. This is a female-female romance, and there are not enough female-female romances. Like, it is so mind-numbingly irritating to me. The first female-female romance that I picked up was Leah on the Offbeat, and it was a major disappointment. I couldn't even finish it. I had to DNF it. This one I've heard amazing things about. There's some female-female rep in here because there is never hardly a good female-female romance. And I have I think a couple female-female romances in this haul that I'm just excited about because I'm really trying to find more, because I want to read good rep. And it's great that there's male-male romances as well. Like, that doesn't need to stop, but there just needs to be an equal amount of female-female romances as well. And people need to be reading them more, so I'm excited to read this. And then the next book I have is The Brad Test by Helen Hoang. This I am excited to read because I read The Kiss Quotient and I loved that book. I'm really, really excited to read her next books. I think this is going to be pretty good. So the next book I'm going to talk about is Summer of Salt, and this is by Katrina Leno, and this is also a female-female romance. I'm not exactly sure what this is about. I do know that it has like a magical realism in it, I'm pretty sure, like fantastical elements, so I do think this will be good because, I mean, if there's any sort of like magical realism in contemporaries, I generally have always liked it. And then also by Katrina Leno, I have You Must Not Miss, and this book I'm pretty sure is female-female romance as well. I'm pretty sure. This also has magical elements to it, some magical realism. I think this will be good as well because I've also heard great things about it from pretty much every booktuber who's read this. Then the next book that I have I want to read soon just because of what's going on in America right now, and that is Girls on the Verge. And this is about abortions in Texas, and I live in Texas, and there are crazy strict laws on abortions here, and with Alabama, Ohio, and all of these states that are doing horrible things and making these disgusting laws, and I'm going to get into that in the vlog when I read this. This will be coming soon because I do want to get into that because it's just disgusting to me what's happening. Just having women's rights taken away from us, it's not fucking okay. Hopefully it stops, but I feel like this book would be a good time to read it during this horrible situation. The next book I have is There's Something About Sweetie by Andaya Menon. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. This is part of the When Dimple Met Rishi series. Chelsea Darling said there was fat rep in this, so I think that is amazing to have a body positive main character. And I normally don't like faces on the cover, but all of her books, I love the covers. They're so cute and she is so beautiful. All of them are beautiful. All the women that are on her covers are absolutely gorgeous. I think this will be good and I'm really excited to read it because I loved When Dimple Met Rishi. The next book that I have here is The Field Guide to the North American Teenager, and this I do know some things about. This is a teenager, he's from Canada and he's moving to America, and I actually think he moves to Texas. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. He basically watches a bunch of American sitcoms trying to learn the American culture, then he kind of, like the book says, uses that as a guide, and he just has some little adventures with this little guy that he has. I think this will be so good. I'm so excited. When I heard the synopsis to this, I was like, that sounds amazing. I will be reading this soon as well. I want to read all of these soon, but let's be honest, I can't read all of these in like a week. Woo! Don't fall, don't fall. Holy crap. Okay, the next book I have is Wild Blue Wonder, and this is also a magical realism contemporary, and Chelsea Darling really raved about this, and so I really would like to read it, and the cover is gorgeous. I love it. It is so pretty and it just sounded good, so I want to read it and get all like happy and in the feels. I hate saying that, but that's pretty much what I want to do when I pick up a book like this. The next book I'm going to talk about has been my most anticipated book pretty much this whole year so far. That is With the Fire on High. I just got this recently and I've started like I'm in like a couple chapters into this. I want to save it because look at the cover! It is so amazing. Like, I'm obsessed with the cover, and the book itself has like food and like all of this cool stuff on it. Like, it's so cute. The story itself, it's about a teenage mom. She basically is a really good cook and she wants to kind of go in the culinary field, and it just shows like the struggle she has of being a teen mom and trying to get an education and make a career for herself. I'm really excited about this. Now, the next two books I'm going to show y'all are from Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo last year. It was my favorite book of the year. It's right up there, and I really want to read it again actually, but I got more books by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have After I Do by her. I didn't have it in the stack that I have, but I do have this. I also have Maybe in Another Life. And then the one I'm most excited about is Daisy Jones and the Sixth, and this is kind of like a rock and roll themed book, so I don't know if like there's like a groupie in it or if it's just about a band, or both, but I'm really excited to read this. And people say to listen to the audiobook, but I'm not good with audiobooks, so I'm kind of nervous to do that. I do think this will be good because Taylor Jenkins Reid, that book, her writing, her characters are brilliant. That's it for the haul. Holy shit, that was a lot of books. That's all for this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to, and hit the notification bell and comment any books that y'all have gotten recently, and I will see y'all later. Bye!